Hello everyone, thanks for checking out my video. Welcome to the channel Jersey Shore Pondscapes Videos. My name is Chris and today we are doing a review on the Aqua Ultraviolet UV Sterilizer. Aqua Ultraviolet is a huge company that has a lot of really good pond products. They're an industry standard. These lights are really commonly available, which is really nice if you need, spare parts or replacement parts or whatever. They're easy to get. They're really good units. They work really well, and we're going to be talking all about it today. Before I get into all that, I just want to invite you to check out my website. It's www.pondscapesandmore.com. Pondscapes and More is all one word. Feel free to go there, check it out. I am setting up all kinds of blogs and articles. I have a review on these there on that website. I have pictures and videos of ponds I've built. We have landscape stuff on there, and even attracting wild birds. We have a section for all that as well. I'm setting up affiliate links. We'll have products for sale that you can purchase directly from my website, hopefully such as this one right here. All right, so please check it out. Thanks for your time, and we're going to be diving into this UV light here today. Now, I have a ton of videos here on this channel, all kinds of information. I do have another video here on the channel that's just in general about UV lights and how they work. So please check that out because it's going to kind of tie into this. This video is basically, we are just looking at this particular light today and doing a review on it, okay? So let me just pull this thing up out of the box here so you guys can see what we have. And basically, we have a 40-watt lamp. This is a 40-watt unit, okay, from Aqua Ultraviolet. We have the unit itself, all right, the body itself. We have the instruction books, warranty card, a lot of bubble wrap. Okay, let's throw this aside. And we have two unions, okay, which screw on a unit. Here, we'll show you that in a minute. And a power supply, all right? So, all right, let me get this out of the way. Okay, so here we go, okay? Really nice unit, okay, very simple, all right? These units are very simple the way they run. You basically pump the water in on one side, okay, and it comes out from the other side, all right? Really nice that it comes with these two 2-inch unions on here as well, okay? So 2-inch PVC pipe will simply just glue right in here, and you have the union, which is really nice if you need to take this UV light out of the system, repair it, replace parts, do whatever you need to do. Winter time, you want to store it in a shed, in a garage, you're just going to unscrew these unions and pull it off, all right? Really nice, okay? So basically, these Aqua UVs come in different sizes, okay? Aqua makes an 8-watt, which is a small little unit, okay? It makes a 15-watt, it makes a 25-watt, a 40-watt, a 57-watt, and then an 80-watt, 120-watt, 160-watt, and so on and so on, okay? What tends to happen with the larger units, all right, the 80-watt, okay, is basically two 40-watt units fit together, okay? They're molded together. 120-watt would be three 40-watt units put together. 160-watt would be four, and so on and so on, okay? So, an 8-watt unit is really pretty small. They're used a lot maybe for, small little garden ponds. I believe they have like a 3/4 inch fitting on them. They're small, okay? But in a small little pond system, it may be all you need, okay? The 15 watt goes a little bit larger, right? Maybe the ponds between 500 and 1,000 gallons is something where I would use that. 25 watt, maybe 1,000 to 1,500 gallons. 40 watt, maybe 2,000 to 3,000 gallons, right? Or 1,500 to 3,000 gallon per hour gallon ponds, and so on and so forth. Okay. What's not only important when sizing these to your pond is not how many gallons are in your pond as much as what the water flow is through these. What size pump is running through these? Okay, you may have a 1,000-gallon pond with some big massive waterfall on it where you're pumping 7,000 gallons an hour. Okay, you don't want to pump 7,000 gallons an hour through a light that's this big, right? That's size for a 1,000-gallon pond. Okay, and understand where I'm getting at? All right, you're going to want something bigger like this, or an 80 watt, because of the volume of water you're pushing through it. What makes these lights effective in killing algae and other pathogens in the water is what's called the dwell time, the flow rate through this. How long does the water have exposure to the light that's passing through it? Okay, if you have a unit that's half this size, okay, and you're pumping 5,000 gallons an hour through it, that water is going to go right? Not a lot of dwell time. Definitely better through here. Okay, you have more exposure through this than in a unit half this size. Okay, so the amount of water that we're pumping through it is primarily what's important as far as sizing these things for your pond. All right. Now, UV lights can be used in two different ways, either a sterilizer or a clarifier. All right. A sterilizer is basically a unit that is being used, or using this unit, to kill not only algae, but to kill bacteria, viruses, maybe some small protozoan parasites. Okay, it disrupts the DNA in the cells of those pathogens. However, it needs a long exposure to that light to be effective against them. Okay, algae is easy to kill. All right, algae, the exposure to the light that algae needs to be, burned by the UV inside here is very easy. All right, so for that reason, we call them clarifiers, because they're used to clear the water of algae. This will keep your pond from turning into pea soup. All right, really amazing and really easy to do. All right, you can pump a nice high volume of water through here and it will keep your pond clear. So 95% of the time when UV lights are purchased to be placed on koi ponds in the filter system of a koi pond or a water garden, it is as a clarifier. All right, it's much more cost effective, and the chances that you're going to buy one of these for sterilization to kill viruses and bacteria and all that, okay, can be really, really expensive, because the size of the unit, the amount of light that you need to kill those things, and the flow rate through it has to be very slow. So in order to get a pump that's big enough to turn over the volume of water in your pond fast enough through the light to be effective for the pond and yet kill those parasites and bacteria is really, really crazy. So maybe on a 40 watt light can go on a 2,000-3,000 gallon pond. All right, as a clarifier. As a sterilizer, you're probably looking at this 40 watt light on maybe like a 25, 50 or 50 gallon fish tank, pumping, 90 gallons per hour through here and not 5,000 gallons an hour through here. All right, so to do that on a pond gets crazy expensive and almost overkill. It's almost ridiculous, I feel. All right, so anyway, let's get back to what this is. So these Aqua UV lights are you know, an industry standard. They're very popular. Like I said, they're very easy to get parts for if you need. They have a couple different parts here on the end. There's a little blue adapter here that comes off. And inside there, the quart sleeve fits, okay, with the O-ring. There's a big rubber gasket that goes in here. Now this comes off. Okay, we have an O-ring here as well. It just fell out. Okay, this is your quart sleeve. The quart sleeve fits right through here, and this rubber gasket seals the unit so it doesn't leak. Okay, the quart sleeves are very important that they stay clean. Okay, if these things can get dirty, sometimes if you have a lot of rust or iron in your water, these will get covered with an orange coating, and that stops the light from shining through. So the purpose of this quart sleeve is to slide the bulb down inside it, and that quart sleeve keeps the bulb dry. All right. Now, inside this unit, in the very bottom, all the way down here, there is a little circular fitting down here, okay, where the tip of this quart sleeve slides right in. All right, so when we put these things back in, it slides right into place. Again, there's a little O-ring here, all right, that seals this union back into the main body so that it doesn't, you know, that doesn't leak. All right, and she slides right in. You'll feel it fit right into place, and it screws in nice and tight. Okay, pretty simple. Now, the bulb, take it out here. The bulbs you don't want to touch, okay? Getting, you know, oils and stuff from your fingers on these bulbs can actually shorten the life. So, you know, I just touch the ends here, all right? What we do is attach this blue piece goes back on top here. Okay, that screws back in, that seals the quart sleeve into place. And then we attach the power supply to the fitting here on the bulb. All right. And then we slide the bulb right down inside. Okay, just slide it right straight in. And then there is another cap here. There's a black piece here that screws onto the unit. Now here's a little trick. All right, here's a trick with these UV lights. There is the black cap here that screws onto the unit, and then right above it is another little kind of nut that holds the cord in place. We need to unscrew that so that the cord is free and we can spin this union on here without spinning the cord around and causing a big problem, okay? So we tighten that up and then tighten up the nut here on the top that holds the cord. And that keeps that cord watertight inside, okay? So here we have the whole unit ready to go. All right, so now we just connect our plumbing, plug in our power supply, and we're good. Now, just another little thing of caution, okay? We don't want to leave these UV lights plugged in and on when there's no water flow through them, all right? The water flow helps to cool the unit, cool the light. If the light gets really hot inside there, it can also shorten the life of the bulb. Now, the life of the bulb. I have clients, I have maintenance contracts with that every year when I open the pond in spring, I put in a new bulb, all right? If I don't, say I opened the pond last spring, last March, okay, we put in a new bulb. This March, this year, when I come back a year later to open the pond up again for the following spring, if I don't change the bulb, in some cases, the UV light may work fine for another year, okay? In some cases, I'll get a call, you know, in mid-August when it's 95 degrees outside and their pond's turning green, all right? Reason being, even though the bulb is on and it seems to be shining, it's like a fluorescent tube. Over time, it loses its intensity. So even though the bulb might be on this spring when I come back to start up the pond again, it may not be at its strongest point. And again, these things are running 24/7, okay? 9 months of the year. They're on for a long period of time. So between March and August or September, right, that's a lot of usage. So maybe by that time, they're gonna start getting weaker. In some ponds, it may become so weak that it's still on, but it's not strong enough to keep up with the algae growth in the pond, and the pond will start turning green again. All right, so it's up to you, you know, as to how often you want to change the bulbs. If you do it every year, you're 100% great, no problem. If you want to try to get 2 years out of it, you know, go for it. But you may run into some issues. All right, so always have a spare bulb on hand. Roughly, you know, these bulbs are a little over $100 a piece. They're not, you know, that cheap. So I understand you don't want to replace them all the time, but it just depends on how effective it's going to be in your pond. All right. So yeah. All right. So basically, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Now these aqua lights are, like I said, they are an industry standard. They're very common units. They work really, really well, okay? I do use the, you know, smaller units, the 25 watt and the 40 watt quite often, all right? Most of the time I'm using one or the other. Now they do make a 15 watt. Most of the time, if I'm going to put in a 15 watt, I'm going to use the 25 watt. The money difference between the two sizes is not that big, and you know, therefore I just go for the bigger one. All right, spend $50 more, get the bigger unit, get the 25 one instead of the 15. Just my personal preference. Okay. Now they also make another crazy one. They make a 57 watt UV. The 57 watt is kind of a funny one because it is exactly the same unit as a 25 watt. It's about half the size of this, okay? It's about this big from here to here, all right? But the only difference between the 57 and the 25, okay, is a 57 watt bulb instead of a 25 watt bulb, and, you know, a different power supply to run the 57. Otherwise, they are exactly the same units, all right? Obviously, it's double the intensity of light, okay? So it's definitely going to be a more effective light for your pond. Sometimes I have clients who have a 25 watt, and the ponds are fine, you know, not a big deal. But when it comes time to replacing the bulb, they may say, you know what, maybe I'll switch it up to a 57 watt. Now, the cost of the bulb isn't much different between the 25 and the 57, but the cost of the power supply is, okay? That is a little more substantial difference. So generally, when I have a client bumping up from the 25 into a 57, it's because they need a new power supply. So at that point, they're like, well, I got to spend, you know, so much money on a new power supply. Maybe I'll just get the bigger one and get a new bulb, and we'll make it a 57 watt instead of the 25. So that makes sense. The only thing that I really don't like about those units is the fact that they are small, okay? It's only half the size of this, all right? And it's 57 watts. So what gets confusing is you kind of generally just think that the bigger the unit, the bigger the pond, or the bigger the pump can be in it, right? You have a 15 watt unit, maybe you're running a 1,000 gallon pump through it, okay? You know, you have a 2,000 gallon pond. Maybe you're going to look at a 40 watt unit. So then you have a 57 watt unit. And you're saying, well, maybe that's even for a 3,000 or 4,000 gallon per hour pond. But the trick is, it's still a small unit. We still can't pump any more water through it. We can pump more water through the 40 watt light than we can through that 57, at least in my eyes, okay? I think the real big advantage of the 57 watt is not that it's better for a bigger pond, is that it's more effective for a smaller pond, okay? It's going to clear that water quicker and easier than the 25 watt will, all right? Yes, we can put a little more water flow through it than in the 25 watt because it's a brighter, more intense light, okay? So having a brighter light means less dwell time needed for, you know, a certain amount of exposure to the light. But I wouldn't get too crazy with it, just me personally, okay? Now, the other thing I want to get into with Aqua lights is sometimes they come with what's called a scrubber. It's basically a rod in the end here that goes through the unit all the way down the end, and it has little rubber gaskets, basically, 2 or 3 of them, that slide over that quartz sleeve. And the idea is that you can take this rod and pull it out and bring it down and scrub that quartz sleeve inside and keep that quartz sleeve cleaned. Honestly, I'm not a fan. I don't think that ever really works very well at all, okay? I would much rather prefer to just open up this top, pull the whole quartz sleeve out and clean it, and then put it back in. The problem with those scrubbers is it kind of makes it difficult when you pull the quartz sleeve out of it, that you have to line it all back up again and slide the quartz sleeve down through all those little rings in the scrubber to get it back into the bottom here. And the other issue I've had is where they connect through the bottom of the unit here sometimes. There's a little nut there, and there's a little rubber, tiny little rubber gasket. And over time, those rubber, the little O-rings, can deteriorate and dry rot, and then it leaks. And, you know, to replace that, it's just a pain. I don't see any use for it. I wouldn't spend any extra money on that, okay? If you need to clean the quartz sleeve, open up the unit here, pull the whole thing out. It's not rocket science. It's really pretty easy, and you can clean it much more effectively that way. All right. Another option that is available on some of these units is they have a union here in the middle. Okay, and the union basically allows you to literally take the light apart, okay, pull it apart. It's not made to be taken apart, but its purpose is that you can rotate it, okay? So with a union here in the middle, when you unscrew it and loosen it, you maybe can keep this fitting here going straight up, but maybe this fitting, you can turn it and have it come out this way, or have it come out the bottom, okay? So it's kind of a neat little feature. It's basically just an O-ring seal inside there that, you know, you loosen up the union and you can spin, you know, these fittings around any way you want, you know, for however way the pipes are coming in and out, okay? Kind of makes it easier. They are not standard, okay? You know, there's kind of odd that you find those, but they are out there, they are available. It's kind of a neat little feature. But, you know, 90% of the units you find are, you know, without that, and they're just like this. All right. So I think we're pretty much touched all the bases here as far as these units go. You know, we talked briefly about the 8, the 15, the 25, the 40, and the 57 watt. Now I just want to briefly spend a little bit of time on the bigger units, the 80, 120s, 160s, and so on and so forth, okay? I have to be honest with you, okay? That's what I do here on this channel. I'm giving you my honest opinion. I'm not getting paid by anybody to do these videos. This is all just me wanting to help you, okay? The 80, 120s, 160s, and so on are really good units, okay? They work great, all right? My issue with these is an 80-watt unit, like I said, is two 40s put together. A 120-watt unit is three 40s put together. 160-watt is four 40s put together, okay? That means you need to buy, you know, for a 120-watt unit, you need to buy three of these bulbs when you need to replace them. If you need new quart sleeves, there's three quart sleeves you need to replace. All right. So instead of one bulb, you know, at $120, you need three of them. All right. So you're $360. All right. Three quart sleeves, $100 a piece. There's $300 there. So to replace three bulbs and three quart sleeves, you're at $640 plus tax. Right? Roughly, just say between $600 and $700 it's going to cost you to replace your quart sleeves and your bulbs. Now, you don't need to replace the quart sleeves all the time, okay? But occasionally, some point you will. But the bulbs, like I said, maybe once a year, maybe, you know, once every 2 years, you're definitely doing that. So you're spending a lot of money on that. Also, the units get quite expensive. All right. Again, they work really well. They're an industry standard. They work really well. They are expensive. And the power supplies for these larger units get really expensive as well. All right. Now, I don't use those larger units, 80 watts and over. I don't use them from Aqua. Okay. Again, not because they're not good, but because they're really expensive and I don't want to have to replace 3 or 4 bulbs at a time. I wouldn't do it on my own pond, so I don't do it on my customers' ponds, okay? The local shop where I buy these from, right, the owner gets on my case all the time because I'll buy the smaller lights but I won't buy the big ones. And he says, why don't you buy the big lights from me? I can't. I just can't, all right? Now there's another company called Pentair, okay? It used to be Emperor Aquatics. Pentair makes UV lights almost identical to this. A little bit cheaper, all right, but almost identical. But they have high output units available. Their 80-watt unit is this big around. It's one bulb, okay? Bulb's $100. 120-watt unit is 5 foot long, 5 inches around, 2-inch ports, one bulb, $100. All right. Transformer is half the price of one of these. It's just a no-brainer for me. They have a 150-watt high output unit, 6 foot long, but it's one bulb. The bulb's, you know, whatever, $125. All right. One bulb, one quart sleeve, and a much cheaper power supply. So I use those Pentair units when it gets bigger. All right. Again, I have a lot of clients, you know, that I meet. I go to their houses and they have 80 or 120 watt Aqua UV lights hooked up, and they work great. Absolutely. Just be aware of that. Okay, giving you my honest opinion. All right. Be aware of that. If you need something larger, you need to make a decision. All right. Now, again, the smaller units, awesome. Use them all the time. They're great units. All right. Please check out my other videos here on this YouTube channel on those UV lights, because I do show you the differences between the two. I show you some of those high output units from Pentair. So very neat. All right. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it helped you out and gave you a nice description of what these units are all about. Okay, Sorry about that. I didn't realize my video camera cut off before I finished. So I'm just gonna conclude here real quickly. Again, thank you for watching the video. I hope it helped you out. Yeah, check out that other video on UV lights that I do, because I talk a lot more, in depth about some things, and it kind of really ties into this. So, hey, UV lights are awesome on a pond, okay? I'm not going to say that they're 100% necessity. You have to have them on every pond, but yeah. They're important. They're really great to have, all right? They really help to cut down on your algae. You have nice clear water. You don't have to rely on chemicals, to control that green pea soup water, all right? It's really simple. It's really easy. It's a one-time expense, and it's done. And these Aqua units are great. They're, some of the best in the industry. So again, thanks for watching. Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. All right, check out my website, pondscapesandmore.com, www.pondscapesandmore.com. I got a ton of pictures. I have all kinds of articles and blogs. You can purchase things there. I'm setting up affiliate links. A lot of great stuff there, including, ponds, landscaping stuff, and wild birds, okay? Feeding wild birds, attracting wild birds to your yard. I have a ton of stuff there. So, thank you. I hope you enjoyed the video, and hopefully we'll see you back again real soon. Take care. Have a great day. Bye.